Welcome to the latest installment of Brandon Brothers. I'm Doug.
And I'm Johnny. Today we're talking about what is marketing.
All right, let's get to it.
We are going to take it back.
Way back. Let's go way
We're gonna
back.
filter through all of the markety language. And I want to just start with a very simple question.
Bring it in.
What is marketing?
What is marketing? So there are two classifications of marketing, right? There is the business side and there is the communication side, right? The crux of all of it is sales. How is that for a definition?
Okay, so
that was shit.
You went straight to sort of I think the real issue that I've always had is that a lot of people seem to equate marketing and sales.
Yeah,
and they sort of think of them as one thing. And even organizationally, companies will have marketing and sales. You'll have a SVP of marketing and sales or whatever. They tend to group marketing and sales together. So how are they different?
So it's point A to point B, right? So point A to point B is marketing. Point B is the sale, right? The line between point A and point B is marketing.
Wait, where's point A?
So point A is your product or your service. And so then at point B would be where your audience lives. And they should need, or more likely want, whatever product or service that you have. And so that line that connects your product and or service to your customer is marketing.
Let's take it down to an example like a lemonade stand, for example. So where in that process you're selling lemonade, your product is lemonade,
right?
But where does the marketing begin and the sale end?
Well, the sale ends with the transaction.
Okay,
right.
So that's the ultimate goal, to get to that quarter.
Yeah, in the world of marketing, we call that a conversion, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, the marketing of a lemonade stand begins with the stand itself, right? So if you see a lemonade stand that is just a table with a kid behind it and a pitcher of lemonade, that's marketing. But it would be more effective marketing if that lemonade stand had something on the front of the table and maybe even had a banner over the top like you see in the cartoons that say lemonade, because it makes it even more clear what that child is doing. But of course, the concept of a lemonade stand is a rather universal concept, especially, in Western in American culture. So
and the E always has to be backwards. And I know that like the lemonade font is a backwards E.
So yes, obviously that having character is a component of branding, and branding then is how you portray yourself, and the marketing is how you forward that personality and your message to your audience.
Does price factor into marketing?
I believe it does.
Okay.
So it has to, because marketing is about a value proposition, and that value proposition transcends belief systems. And one of those components is value, thrift, I should say. And whether or not something is in parity with how you perceive it. So if you're buying lemonade, let's say that the price is 50 cents, your expectation is probably reasonably low. So if you receive a cup of lemonade in one of those cone-shaped paper cups,
the little snow cone cups,
or
the water cooler
cups, if those are still a thing, Your expectations would probably be met. However, if the price was double that and you got it in a paper cup, you'd probably tilt your head a little bit like the RCA dog, and I'm dating myself, I guess, and go, what is going on? This is disparate from my expectation. However, or dissonant, and so you would probably expect to receive at least an 8-ounce plastic cup or something, right? And then if it's double that price, right? Or quadruple the original price,
Right.
we're at $2. Your expectation is probably to get a good 12 to 16 ounces.
There should be some vodka in there.
Well, I think the price might go up a little bit, and I'm pretty sure it won't be sold by a child, or in front of a house. Otherwise, you
Probably
might find
can't market it as lemonade either.
it could be hard lemonade. So as far as the price is concerned in its relation to marketing, that kid could probably do what I did when I was a little kid, which was, and we sold lemonade for a little bit less back then, was cross out the 50 cents and make it 25 cents, knowing that most adults did not carry coins, but dollar bills, and would just say, keep the change.
Ooh, that's some slick math. Now you mentioned value. I wanted to talk about needs versus wants in your audience. So how do you?
So it's a complicated question, because generally speaking, the only thing that we as humans really need are food and shelter. So from a needs perspective, you can pretty much see that if it's taxed at a grocery store, you don't really need it. But that banana that you're eyeballing, you don't need to worry about, figuring out what 7% or 6% or 5%, whatever your sales tax rate is. But more realistically, when it comes to needs, a better example would be like an HVAC company. And if you're a homeowner, you need an HVAC company unless you happen to know how to service your air conditioning system. And
well, so thanks to YouTube, a lot of people can now.
yeah, but at the end of the day, there are places where professionals belong,
absolutely,
and amateurs don't,
yeah,
and they find themselves spending even more money.
Especially when there's natural gas involved.
Oh, good God. So yeah, with regard to needs, you might need an HVAC service if you're a homeowner, but if you're a renter or you're a child, you probably don't need one.
Yeah.
But wants are going to be more frivolous, but they might not be super frivolous. So you might want a cookie, right? That is not something that you need, although your sweet tooth might disagree.
Speaking of wants and needs, then that talks about audiences, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
How do you figure out who your audiences are? Because it would seem to be if you just say, I want to market my audience is I want to market to everybody.
Good luck.
Yeah, right. Well, obviously, it'd be very expensive, but why is it important to narrow that down?
So I like to use the analogy of a net, right? Like a fishing net. So if you are trying to reach a large area of people, of demographics and psychographics, you're going to need a huge net, right? And so that net is not going to have a fine mesh because it's just impractical. From a sales perspective, it requires more material in order to have a wider reach, right? Just like in marketing and in fishing, the bigger your net, the economies of scale go accordingly, right? So when you have a fine mesh net and you make it double the size, it's not like your holes stay the same size. So what ends up happening is if your target audience is a very specific age group, gender, socioeconomic level, household incomes, education, etc., the more granular you get, the more fine mesh your net needs to be. So if you cast a generic net, let's say that you are a small business based in Central Florida, but you do a Meta campaign or a Google Ads campaign for the entirety of the United States, you might be shooting yourself in the foot because someone out in Portland is looking for an IT guy, but they're looking for an IT guy in Portland, Oregon. They're not looking for an IT guy in Central Florida.
So you're wasting money displaying your ad to potential customers in Portland when there's no way they're going to hire someone that does IT in Central Florida.
Oh, it gets worse because it's actually being seen by this old woman who retired a long time ago, and she has no need for an IT company, right? Yeah. She's not your ideal customer profile.
But she has, and maybe she didn't update her job title yet.
While that's a possibility, it's more about the fact that you need to know what the psychographics and demographics are of your audience in order to adequately and accurately target them.
And this doesn't just stand for like online ads, because you can fine tune this for over the top, like Hulu ads and streaming.
But also even for direct mail, right? So whether
people still use direct mail,
believe it or not, is still one of the most effective forms of marketing in as it relates to reaching your audiences and generating conversions.
So like plain old like buy a mailing list kind of thing.
Yeah, it's still a thing, and it's very effective. However, there has to be a cadence to it. You can't just send out. For example, there's this product that United States Postal Service has called Every Door Direct, EDDM, and Every Door Direct Mail. And so, yes,
Boots
it's electronic dance
mail.
Mail. We're going to be really entertaining that one person who might be listening. Yep. And thank you for listening, by the way.
Hi, Mom.
So yes, this EDDM product that I was talking about, you can specify area and household demographics, like it could be age and it could be household income, for example. And it will tell you what the postal areas are for you to then deliver these blanket generic email or mails, direct mail, postcards to. And it doesn't have to be postcards, but generally they are flat.
And they're cheaper.
They are cheaper by the unit, but not necessarily from the targeting. So not only can you do this EDDM that I'm talking about, which is kind of casting a wider net, you can get a little bit more granular and you can rent lists that have specific, again, the psychographic and demographic components that match who your audiences are. So yes, you're paying more per postcard, for example, but you're also sending out fewer postcards. So there's a give and
trade-off. So where does trust fit in? Because that reviews and that kind of stuff seems to be like everything that people are trying to, like everything I buy on Amazon, I get that little postcard that says, scan this QR code and give us a 5-star rating. Like, what's that all about?
So, well, in that context, we call that social proofing. But trust, there are trust indicators, and one of them is social proofing. Seeing that a restaurant has a 4.2 on Yelp, you're probably going to choose that restaurant over one that has $3 signs and only 2 stars, right? And so those are trust indicators. Of course, you can dive a little bit deeper and get a little bit more granular as to what is being reviewed. So Do you care about environment and ambiance? Do you care about service? Do you care about quality? You can get even deeper on those. But then there's also, how long has the business been around, right? Is it a fly-by-night that's only been in business for a year and might not be around next year? Or is it a mom and pop shop that's been around for 20 years and they're middle-aged or second generation and in the family?
Sure.
And they're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah. The with all the new technologies, and I mean, relatively speaking, digital, social media and all of that is technically still newish in the marketing realm. Like all of these.
Oh, and it's constantly evolving.
And it's always evolving. And now we've got AI in the mix.
Do we ever
have,
and in social media too?
So the question I've got is, have the fundamental, because you've been doing this for 20 plus years, 30 years,
20 as remixed.
Have any of the fundamental principles of marketing changed with these new tools?
I believe that the biggest thing that we're seeing is not something that's really new, but a resurgence of authenticity, right? People can rather quickly ascertain whether or not the content that they're receiving is AI generated or human generated.
People are getting very smart about that.
It's not even necessarily that they can put their finger on it. They just can tell. Their spidey senses start tingling.
Right. And you're like, uncanny valley. It really comes out in the messaging. It comes out in the visuals. It's something about it that just seems
and there are these glitches that I've seen that are like just a nanosecond, one frame, and you're like, wait a second, what just happened here? And it was because a wrinkle showed up on a woman's face for a brief second, and you're like, wait, I don't even remember what this was an ad for, but you're remembering this one anomaly. Anyhow, so what was the question?
I was just saying, like, have the fundamental principles changed?
I don't think they have. I think the principles remain the same. In that we should really always be true to who we are,
right? Because
if we try to be something else, there are so many things that are going to happen. First and foremost, as a proprietor, you're going to become you're not going to care as much. You just become less engaging, and nobody likes that, right? So being authentic is probably the piece.
I keep hearing.
Thank you for putting me off. I appreciate it. I needed that.
Yeah.
And just droning on.
I know. I'm there for you, buddy. What I was getting to was, in addition to the authenticity, I'm hearing a lot about storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling has been a constant. I think we may have fallen away from it a little bit from the beginning of like the early 2000s up until the mid 10s, the teens, if you will, and it definitely has become a greater focus over time, and that comes down to creating that connection, right? And it's that authentic connection that we're all looking for.
So, small business owner, I've got no budget. I'm a marketing team of one or -1 because I got too many other things to do. Give me one thing I can do. What's the one thing I can do that's going to give me the best bang for my little dollar?
So rather than spending money, sometimes it's better to spend time. So the best thing that a small business, like we're talking a micro business, an owner can do is network, right? And so go out there, shake hands, talk to people.
Where do you go? Like,
well, you can go anywhere. You can go to meetups. You can go to church. You can go to the local Piggly Wiggly.
The gym.
You can go to the gym,
library,
the grocery store.
Yeah.
The carnival at your kid's elementary school. There are plenty of places that Communities host events all the time.
Right.
And it's about being active in the community. And that's a big part for business owners in general. Is one of the biggest things that you can do as a business owner is give back. And giving back to your community in any way that you can. That could be by creating a fundraiser, or that could be by employing other people in your area.
The one thing I notice
networking. The answer to the question was
networking. In social media is that I've got other people that will who I see. I'm a pretty active, maybe possibly overactive social media user and consumer, but I'm also a creator, and some people will say to me, "Oh, nobody interacts with my stuff on Facebook," and it's a common complaint. People interact with my stuff all the time, but it's only because I'm generating content 3 or 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah. So social media, when it comes to marketing, it is a strange beast. So is it something that you should give attention to? Absolutely. Is it something that you should be focused on from the sense of generating sales? Not necessarily. It's more, this kind of takes us back to trust. Right? First off, what's your strategy behind utilizing social media as a business? There are 2 really key components. So there's the conversion side, which works really well for products, especially niche-based products. Those niche-based products might be, natural soap, but using some viral style influencer campaign to get it out there. But usually it's more about awareness generation. And it's usually more about that. Are they still in business? Litmus test, right? So when I'm looking for a business, I might then click one of those social media icons on their website to see what they're up to, because this also helps me get an understanding of color and character. And do their values match mine if you're one of those consumers who cares about values-based purchasing?
All right, so we're gonna do a couple rapid fire questions here. We're trying to.
I'm a pretty slow guy, but I'll do my best.
All right, what's the best marketing campaign you've ever seen? Doug Berger, go.
I'm gonna have to give it to Nike with "Just Do It."
Just Do It. That was a fantastic campaign, and I think they're still just doing it.
Yeah, I think so.
One buzzword that you wish would die.
Not a buzzword, but it's 2 letters. AI. Listen,
I don't think it's going away.
No, it's been here for a long time.
Right.
It's just that it's recently been repackaged in a way that people are consuming the term and identifying it specifically, not just as AI, but they're conflating it with generative AI. And I mean, look, kudos to OpenAI and Sam Altman for basically pushing this out there and into the forefront. But AI, as we know it, has been with us for a long time. It's just becoming more sophisticated. And as time goes on, as a tool, it's going to become more prevalent, becoming in more people's toolboxes.
Speaking of tools,
well, you put it on me. What's yours?
Oh, your
marketing buzzword,
webinar. Webinar is needs to go the way of the fax machine. We don't do webinars anymore. Stop using the term. I've declared webinar is dead.
Webinar. Isn't it though? I mean, don't we call them podcasts now?
Yes. Welcome to my webinar.
And on top of that, when it comes to these marketing buzzwords, can I add one more?
Sure.
I'd love to see the word sustainability go away, because let's face it, if you're not focused on sustainability, what are you doing?
And one last question, what's name a podcast that every marketer and business person should be listening to?
Oh, hands down, Brando Brothers.
That's the right answer.
Hey, all right, we did this thing.
Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to Brand of Brothers. Big thank you to our presenting sponsor, Remix, the branding agency, along with production assistance from Johnny Diggs, Simon Jacobson, and me, Doug Berger. We can't forget music by PRO. Speaking of not forgetting, remember to do that like and subscribe thing and find us at brandshowlive.com and follow us on the socials at Brand Show Live.